David Race wipes the warm water from his face and looks back into the mirror. Can he really go through with what he was intending to do? A little while earlier, he was down in the hotel lobby. He and Bartney had returned back to the New York hotel. The sun had risen. But Race was like, I can go another couple of hours. What do you think, Bartney? She was like, yeah, I can keep going. So the two of them agreed to meet in the hotel lobby in an hour's time for breakfast. Race went to the hotel counter, asked if Mr. Instow was still in his room. He was indeed. And he sent an invitation up to him saying in an hour's time, join us for breakfast. And he would let him know everything that he had uncovered in his investigations. And now Race, rested, refreshed, a few stats added onto his little stat sheet, now looks in the mirror questioning himself. Is what he's going to go through next worth it? And not necessarily to him. He's put his life at risk many a time. He's done so for this case so far. But what he plans to do now may be putting at risk the lives of innocent people. Innocent people that don't even know that he exists. Can he really do that? G'day ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick warning for this episode. It gets a bit intense in parts, so if things like heights, falling and guilt is something particularly upsetting for you at the moment, please can I encourage you, give this episode a miss. Get the catch up in the next episode that I eventually will record. And yeah, if anything in this episode does sort of hang in your headspace, please talk to someone that cares about you. Talk to someone who can help you. But yes, I just thought I'd give that warning at the start. Otherwise, I hope you'll enjoy this episode, and I'll throw it back to past me. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Big Dry. It's an Ironsworn based solo RPG series. Like any RPG, we're rolling dice, we're rolling on tables to discover what happens in this little adventure. But unlike Ironsworn normally, even though it's a really good game, we are setting it not in a fantasy world, but in a sort of noir detective New York City. We're investigating the murder of a Mr. Templeton, a British diplomat caught up in, God knows what he's caught up in. We're following the case of David Race. He is trying to solve this case. He has got an assistant, more like a partner than an assistant, called Mrs. Bartney. She's a New York cop, trying to make her way in a slightly not supportive of female police officers world. And the cool thing about this game, though, this solo RPG, is even though I'm telling the story to you guys, I actually don't know how it ends. As we investigate this case, we're rolling on tables, we're talking to random suspects, and it's going to be our job to put the pieces together to figure out what on earth is going on in this crime. Kind of like a real TV detective. So join on in. Please, by all means, go back and watch any episodes if you've missed out. There's also, I'm creating like a catch-up episode which you can watch as well in order to sort of find where we're up to, because we're literally halfway through the case. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Race steps out of the hotel elevator to see Bartney sitting in one of the foyer lounges, reading a newspaper, catching up with what is going on. It is day 2 of Prohibition, so the news is awash with everyone doing the right thing. Everyone's making sure that alcohol's not being consumed. Apparently all the shops are closed. Everyone's playing along, which wasn't exactly what Bartney and Race had seen the night before. But, you know, day 2 of Prohibition, everyone needs to be showing they're doing the right thing before they go off and do the wrong thing. Race and Bartney catch each other's eyes, but before they can go and actually talk to each other about what's going to go on, Race hears a familiar voice. Oh, Captain, Mr. Race, come. It's so good to see what's happening. What on earth is going on right now? It's Peter Instow. Peter Instow has spotted Race in the hotel, and now he's feverishly trying to get his attention. Before he continues, though, his eyes are caught by this strange woman who approaches, and he freezes for a moment, not sure what to say. Calm yourself, Patrick. Calm yourself. I will inform you everything I know. And this is Mrs. Bartney. She's been assisting me in this investigation. You brought someone in. Who is she? What? Discretion. Remember discretion. I remember discretion. Trust me. She is connected to the New York Police Department. I will need someone to help me in order to solve this crime. Someone on the inside. So trust me, she can be trusted. I've known her for years. Barney gives Race a look. Yes, Mr. Instow, I've known him for years, and we have got some important information for you nonetheless. So, would you join us for breakfast? The three of them make their way into the hotel restaurant, and indeed they're serving breakfast. It's nice and hearty, like fried food particularly. Lots of bacon, lots of eggs. Exactly what you want. Eggs any way you want, basically. They sit down, they begin to eat, they start to chat. And Race starts to reveal information to Patrick. And Barney can't help but notice, though, he's choosing to reveal some information but withhold others. He mentions the meat, he withholds information about Mark. He mentions the fact that they found the slip of paper with Captain Darcy. They withhold that they've actually talked to him. And finally he gets to the topic of the bald-headed lady. And I do believe I found some information about that shrouded figure that you saw in the hotel lobby. You did? Who was that? Who was that strange person? Well, I have yet to discover her precise identity. I do believe it is a her, by the way. But I was able to follow her back to her hideout, where she's been keeping her head down. It turns out, my good man, that this city is rife with all sorts of goings on. Could you believe it? There was a man in her apartment, terrified of being caught up by who knows what, some local gang, I'd imagine, kidnapping people or something like that. But anyway, we discovered that's where she was hiding out, but we didn't find her there. So we're still looking for her current location, even though we have discovered this sort of small safe house, I guess you'd call it, that she's making use of. At the mentioning of kidnapping, at the mentioning of this apartment building, Race watches Patrick. He's looking to see if he flinched at any of that. He takes Patrick to be a bit of a blithering idiot, to be perfectly honest. But is he able to reveal that any of those words resonate with him at all? Right now, this is just Race doing this sort of investigation. Barney would be pretty good at observing this. We might ask her later. But it's just him watching to see if any of that rings a bell with him. So let's gather some information. So I rolled a 4 with wit being added, 3, so that's 7, easily beating out a 5 and a 1. So it's a strong hit. In a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow, or an action progresses, we get 2 momentum. So good. What Race is about to observe is going to be helpful. But what is it? Is it going to be Patrick sitting there dumbfounded at the suggestion of kidnapping? Is it going to be him giving away a tell that he does know what's going on? We'll let the Oracle decide. His British government buying land. This land's being bought. Rumours of kidnapping. He might know what's going on. So, we're going to say it's likely. It's likely that he's involved in this sort of kidnapping racket, or at least he's heard of something. It's likely that he has. So, 26 or greater, it is a 38. So, at the mentioning of kidnapping, something in Patrick's eyes flick. And it's not just him freaking out, because he's obviously a pretty neurotic person at this stage with the whole murder thing. But it's more that he looks at Barney to see what she thinks before looking at Race. Race is able to keep his cool, but he notices the look, and he can see that Patrick himself is trying to figure out what they know. Again, he is a sort of neurotic, blithering idiot. He's not very clever. He's actually not very good at this. He's purely there because he's got connections to the British government. He's got connections to aristocratic types. And so what he thinks is being subtle, but ultimately Race sees that the talk of kidnapping registers with him. This is something that he knows about. Anyway, if I was you, I would seriously advise avoiding that part of town. The address was... What was the address again? As Barney begins to give the address hesitantly, not sure if this is the kind of thing that she wants to reveal at this stage, Race finishes. He tells Patrick the address of where Janet had been hiding, where the afraid man had been. He gave the information as the location of this fellow. Well, they finish up their breakfast, they wrap up the conversation, and Patrick is all shocked. He's like, well, is that it? Is that all you know? You don't know who did it? And Race is like, calm down. You don't solve these things overnight, but we've got some leads. I think we know what we're doing. We should have this wrapped up soon. Patrick seems a bit perturbed, but he says he's got to go make a phone call. So he leaves, but he again reiterates his demand. You must let me know everything that's going on. Talk to me and be discreet. For God's sake, please be discreet. So that's your associate then. That's the Great Brains Trust that's negotiating with the American government. Oh, we more saw Patrick as a mascot, a lucky figurehead who got the wheels greased with his, British snobbery, that kind of thing. No, he was more Templeton who did the business, and I just kept my eyes open for anything shady going on. Right, see. Whatever. What was that all about? We wasted time. We could be out investigating. Where are we going next, for crying out loud? My dear Barney, we can't just give away the location of an afraid, terrified citizen of the world and then just leave them unprotected. We need to go and watch Janet Mayhearn's safe house. Wait, what do you mean? You're saying that Patrick is now a risk to that afraid man? You think he's the kidnapper? I have no idea, to be perfectly honest, but we now know, if he's making a certain phone call, whom he might be calling. Quick, let's go. I don't want to leave that poor fellow in any more trouble than he's already in. So with that, they head out and hail a taxi, and they make a quick beeline straight to the part of town where Janet Mayhearn's apartment was. It's daybreak, so the city is kind of quiet, conspicuously hungover for a city that's supposed to be dry. But they make their way to Janet's safe house. Pretty quiet on the streets. Kind of pretty, to be perfectly honest. Even though it's a bit tattered down, this is a nice part of town. The architecture's kind of pretty. It seems that people are looking after the plants in this part of town, so it's kind of nice. But as they drive, Race and Barney get talking. Barney, you live in a cosmopolitan city, don't you? That tone of voice cannot be a good thing. No, hear me out. Obviously, so many people come to the city, the poor and the huddled masses, and you must know them fairly well. Or different. Please don't finish that sentence. Whatever you do, it's just not going to sound right. True, but you must know the subtle differences between different people. Like, for example, if you've got two Caucasian gentlemen, how do you know which one was born in your country and which one was born in my country? How pale he is? I don't know. You know that the British Empire spreads across the world. That doesn't mean anything. What is it about the way they dress, the way they hold themselves? What are those sort of things that are the telltale giveaway if someone is from the colonies or from the motherland? I don't know. Well, obviously with the aristocratic types, like, you'd think it would be the how formal your attire is, right? The three-piece suit and all that. But these days, American gentlemen wanting to make a real show of it will be wearing pretty similar things. No, I think the difference between Americans and British toffs, as you say, is colour. Not of their skin, the colour of their outfit. I think you Brits are afraid of looking too European, too emotional, too colourful. So you're often doing the blacks and that sort of thing. Whereas you'll find, it's usually the little coronation on the American lapel. They're trying to be a little bit French, a little la-di-da in their presentation. Well, that's the aristocratic world, of course, but what about the everyday street, dude? They don't all walk around with flowers in their lapels now, do they? Well, I'd say a similar system applies. Yes, they don't do the full three-piece thing, but again, you'll definitely notice that the American street hoods, or even just everyday blokes, they'll wear some colours on them, that sort of thing. But the British sorts, they all go their browns and beiges, and they just keep it as straight-laced as possible. They don't want anyone accusing them of being overly emotional or any of that sort of thing. So I guess that would be the difference. Why is this you just trying to like judge how I see you or something like that? No, Barney, you are actually a partnership here. I actually don't know the city pretty well. This is the first time I've been in New York itself. So I would really appreciate this sort of input, this sort of insight, because otherwise I'd be completely lost without you. I'll pretend that you're not patronizing me. And here's our address. Now, before they make it all the way down the street, Race actually stops the taxi cab. He's like, stop here. They pull over, he jumps out, he gets Barney to jump out. And they make their way across to like almost like a stoop or a little alley type thing, just a little bit out of the way where they can very clearly see the apartment. But maybe someone who's actually at the apartment can't very clearly see them. Very quickly, Barney figures out they're staking the place out. They're trying to see who turns up to this place. So wait, who are we waiting for? Are we waiting for what, Patrick to turn up? Like what's going on? I don't know. Patrick's not going to turn up. Of course Patrick's not going to turn up, but I have a hunch. And if what I think happens now happens, it's going to prove something. It's going to prove my government's involvement in stuff that I really wish that it wasn't involved in. So the two sit. They watch. They wait. They see New York pass by, starting to wake up after its hungover stupor. And they keep an eye on the door. No one really comes, no one really goes. Again, it's the wrong time of morning for lively activity in this part of town. So they sit and they wait. Right, so the question is Patrick involved? Is Patrick involved in this kidnapping thing? And if this person in the apartment is also involved, like he's actually on the receiving end of all this kidnapping stuff, then what I've done is I've used him as bait. I've used him as bait to see if I can lure out Patrick. Is Patrick involved in this? If no one turns up, Patrick is, I don't know, a stooge or something. But if someone turns up, we know this runs deeper than we think. Okay, so the kidnapping registered with Patrick. We saw that it meant something to him. Whether it was just a passing rumor or not, who knows. So we're going to roll on the Oracle dice. We've gone to the Ironsworn rule set. Again, great game. Jump online. It's free. But on the... by the way, I'm not actually getting paid to say that. I genuinely actually think that. YouTube asked if there's any paid content. There is none. Back to the game. He registered. So I'm going to say now that it's not 50-50. It's likely that Patrick is involved in this kidnapping ipso facto. Someone's probably going to turn up here. Let's find out. He's a 35. So as the morning progresses, and at this point for both Race and Barney, the fact that they've stayed up all night previously is starting to hit them. The fact they're stopping, that they're slowing, they have to be patient, all that sort of like movement and adrenaline starting to wear off, and they're feeling a bit tired. And so they're starting to think, well, is this a waste of time? How long do we stay here before we call it? But at that point, they notice a car come down the street. It is a black car. It is conspicuous in the fact that it's relatively clean. The doors open, and out steps some gentlemen, wearing a relatively neat suit in beiges and browns. Now, Barney, correct me if I'm wrong, but would you say that those people at the door would be considered my people? You never can tell. You can never quite tell until you actually talk to the gentleman. But if I was a wagering lady, yeah, they look pretty British. What's your plan now? What is that plan now? I actually haven't thought this far ahead. Okay, so there they are. They're these British dudes. They're coming in. Oh my goodness, they're coming in to take the dude. They're coming in to take the dude. I mean, Mark might have moved him, but I don't know that. Oh, I should have sent Barney upstairs. Warning. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Me as a person wants to go up and make sure that the dude's okay, maybe try and rescue him, but there's a group of guys. How many are there? Okay, so I'm going to... there's a standard size car. 10 doesn't quite seem like the right amount. I'm going to roll a d6 to decide how many people to step out of the car. 4! There's 4 of them coming out of the car, and they're approaching the apartment, I'm assuming. Okay. Sees them approaching the apartment. Fire escape. Fire escape. So they don't know anyone. They're going to have to knock. They're going to need like a door person to let them in. Convince them. Who knows? But we've got some time. If we can duck around to the fire escape and make our way up that way, because we've done that before, we might be able to do this. Okay, for the sake of speed, what we're going to do is we're just going to put this first action of getting down the street, which shouldn't be too risky, just walk down the street, get to the fire escape, up the fire escape, quicker than these guys can get inside and up the stairs themselves. We're going to put all that together into a face danger roll, okay? So this is Ironsworn's sort of outside of combat, you're doing something risky roll. We're going to do that. We're going to do a face danger roll. So this is requiring speed. We're trying to get up there quickly. We'll try and talk to him. We'll do all the talking to him later. But we need to get up the staircase fast. So that's +2 to the roll. 2 to a 4 means 6 against a 10 and a 2. So it's a weak hit. It's a weak hit. So they race across the street. They're down the street, across the street, up the staircase. And they're just booking it. Up the staircase. The ladder hadn't even been retracted back from the other day when we snuck in. They get up to the top of the staircase. They get through the window. The window is open, or they're going to go to. But then when they look down the hallway, these guys got in quicker than they thought. They see them coming down the hallway. They have to duck back and take cover in the window if they don't want to get noticed climbing in the fire escape. So the way I'm picturing this, like I said, they've come up the staircase. They've hid it. And as they're hiding, it allows them plenty of time to come walking up the hallway. As Race and Barney sort of peek around the corner, they're at the door and they're already beginning to knock on the door. Okay, I as a person wants to save this guy if he's in there. But also, I just realised so does Race and Barney. He knows more about this kidnapping operation from the inside because they're hiding and stuff. If he's in there, we need to get him out. Okay, so again, we're going to do another face danger roll. We're going to, once again, creep out on the edge of the building. We're going to come around to that same window that we got in before. If we can get around there, and he's in there, we might be able to convince him not to open the door. He's probably not going to, because the door was locked. So we've got some time before, I don't know, they break the door down. So we're going to sneak around to the edge of the window. We're going to see if we can convince him to come out the window. So face danger first to see that we don't fall and die. We could just fall and die. All right, plus edge to this. Okay, so, okay. It is a 2, so it's a 5 against a 6 and a 2. So, I don't know if it's the daylight. I don't know if it's the fact that they're feeling tired or something. But this time as they go around the edge, they do manage to hold on. They know what they're doing. But Race does the horrible. He looks down and he feels his stomach lurch. This is not what he normally does. He sort of freaks out and he realizes, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And so he endures some stress. He's freaking out. But he keeps it together. They move along to the window. They're able to open it in time. Is the chappie in the room? Is this person in there? So they get to the window. They're able to open it and put their head in. Do they see him inside? Mark had told him the night before to stay put and to keep his door locked. So it is likely that he's in there. And dice roll 31. He is indeed in there. I'm going to say that he's pretty much like in that archway where they were listening before. He's standing in that archway. And he's looking at the door. He's hearing the knocks at the door. You don't open the door! The man looks startled towards the window. Get back! Listen, please, you have to trust us. I know Janet. I know Mark. Those men are at the door. They're coming to get you. Please, you have to come with us. Trust us. Does he trust them? Oh my gosh, he's not. He's not lying. He does No, he doesn't know Janet, so he is lying technically. He says he knows Mark. Okay, so he's trying to persuade this guy to come with him. He is dangling out a window. He's saying, "Come with us." There's a knocking at the door. He says that he knows Janet, he knows Mark, which is technically true, but he doesn't know Janet. He's never met her before. He hasn't even laid eyes on her before. And Mark has, on several occasions, tried to kill him. So I think we can say that he's currently being deceptive. He's trying to make this guy believe that he's on their side. So we're going to roll shadow on this. So he's trying to persuade him to join him. Okay, so it's a compel roll with shadow, so that's +2. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So it's I rolled with my plus a 3. So I got a 1, 2, 3 against a 9 and an 8. I don't even call that a miss. The man doesn't even wait to respond. He is ducking into another room. He's running. He's running. I don't know where he's running to, but he's running. And because it was such a big miss, we're going to say it's the worst all possible situation. We hear the door beginning to be broken open. In fact, it basically just breaks open on the first swing. Almost. Let's say the lock breaks, the little chain on the door catches, but they're about to come in. Stuff it. In for a penny, in for a pound. Race jumps into the kitchen. He can see the door. He draws his weapon. And he doesn't fire like straight at the door. He aims at like higher above the door frame, but he begins to fire 2 shots into the door. Okay, so I think we can say that's an aggressive action. So it's +1 with iron. He's only got 1 iron. So rolling. Put that again. So that's a 2 plus a 1 equals 3 against a 3 and a 2. So it is a weak hit. So the shots ring out and voices can be heard from behind the door. Bloody hell, the bastard's got a gun! And so they duck behind. But it doesn't seem like they're going to be back there for long. So before anything, Race does a quick scan of the room. He's going to try and see if this random bloke is still in there. It's got to be almost certain. The fire escape's blocked by us. The door's blocked by the other guys. It is a 3! He's gone. Just like that, he's gone. He's not in the room. So let's imagine it. It's a small apartment, a little bohemian apartment. It is a small apartment. The door has got the random British dudes at the door. We're at the window, the only other way out. And as Race scans the room, he's not there. He is gone. What? At that point, a hand reaches out through the door. A revolver. It fires. As the shot rings out, it's kind of blind. Race is able to jump out of the way, and he fires back once again. Bang, bang, at the door. They then duck back. So this is still the standoff continues. This gives Race just a little bit more time. He's going to gather information this time. So at first he just wanted to see if he was in the room. He wasn't in the room. Is he hiding? Is there a secret passage? Like, what's going on? So he's going to try and gather information as quick as he can. What's Bartney doing in all this? She jumped in the room with us? Let's say it's 50-50. No, she's out on the windowsill still. She's keeping her head down. Look, I'm going to assume that she also... Oh, would she have a firearm? 50-50? No, she doesn't have a firearm. So she's out on the ledge just keeping her head down. Fair enough too. Bullets are flying. So it's just up to Race to scan the room to see if he can see where this guy is. Like, he kind of just disappeared. So it's a weak hit. It is a 3 to a 2, 5 against a 6 and a 3. So it's a weak hit. We need to figure out what he sees. He sees something. He gets some information that helps him to understand what on earth has just happened. So we'll roll on some oracles to decide that. So action, 72, find, that's good. Theme, 99, strategy. They find his strategy of disappearing. So find the strategy. Basically, them in the apartment, whoever this person is, and Mark or Janet, whoever, they knew that if someone was going to raid this place, the strategy would be to have someone at the door, someone at the fire escape. They knew that. So what they did was they prepared for this. They have another window further into the apartment. They're going to use the same strategy we did to get into the apartment, and then they're going to escape out that window. So as Race scans the room, he indeed sees another window that is open. No fly screen on it, anything like that. And just as he spots that window, he hears Bartney on the window frame cry out, "Race is out here!" Race does not waste any time. He races straight for the second window, the same one that this mysterious man had ducked out of. And as he approaches the window, look, let's be honest, these guys aren't going to be stopped for long. They break open the door. They smash the door in. And as they do, they see him sort of making the way out the window. They unleash another shot. As the shot rings out, Race does get out the window, but not unscathed. He once again takes a nick. Okay, he does take some, maybe not from the bullet itself, but the shot rings out, it hits the window. That window sort of shatters, it cuts him a little bit. So he is slightly injured as he climbs out onto the windows, on the windowsill. Like I said, they knew that if there's anyone going to come racing in, they'd come up the fire escape and the door. So they've actually made like a little tiny landing. It's actually kind of pretty good firm footing on this spot. Now, Bartney saw him. I kind of just made that up because I thought she would see him at the window. So we're going to assume that he's now between Bartney and Race. So between the two, he's there. Okay, this is our last chance with this guy. So it is as simple as this. Those men want to kill you. We do not. You must come with us in order to be safe. Please come with us. He's trying to reason with him. He's using his wit, his logic. I know there's sort of earnestness going on in what he's saying, but he's made it as simple as that. They are trying to kill you. We are trying to protect you. As simple as that. So, and that's true. So he's trying to use his wit. It's a +3. Will he compel this guy to go along with them? Oh, this could go so badly. Well, let's see if it works. Okay, so it's +3 to 3, 6, but it's against a 1 and a 5. It is a strong hit. Thank goodness it's a strong hit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was totally expecting this to go very badly. Like, wise. Okay, I come with you. But where did they go? So they've got the gunman in the apartment. The kitchen window's there. So that's like they're trapped. They're pretty much trapped between the two windows. They could try and all go past that window, but not without slipping to get to the fire escape. I mean, they climb on the roof. I mean, they're going up and over. They're going to go over the top and try and get up on the roof of this building, and then try and figure it out from there, basically. So the three of them come together and start to scramble over the roof. Bartney and Race have done this before, so they vaguely know what they're looking for to grab onto to handholds and stuff. Even the guy himself, like I said, they knew that a raid was possible. Climbing out here was a thing, so he's vaguely aware of what's going on. So I'm going to say it's an edge, but I'm actually going to plus the kindred. So that's just +1 to what we're doing. So that's a 3 being added to a 4. Oh. Oh. 3 added to a 4 makes 7. Against a 7 and another 7. Right, so I'm having a heart attack right now. And I am so sorely tempted to make use of the fudge jar. But I genuinely think that the more compelling stories are created when we follow the rules. That was a miss. Not only was it a miss, it was a miss on a doubles. Technically a miss on a triples. they begin to clamber over the top of the apartment building. They actually have to go, like it's not like a sloping roof, they actually have to come up and around over top, which is tricky to do. On the whole, Barney and Race and this other gentleman are able to sort of get most of the way up, when suddenly the sort of bit of masonry that the third gentleman is holding on to gives way. He begins to fall. Race reaches out and is able to get his hand, but only just. It's the kind of handhold that you get on like a flying fox or something, where you know it's not going to be good enough, but he holds as best he can, and the man begins to dangle and swing off of this 3-story building. Race shouts down to the man to hold on, hold on. The man himself shouts back, saying, "Don't let me go, don't let me go." From the windows come our mysterious British gentlemen. They see the man dangling, and it becomes very clear to Bartney, who's watching all this, and she's come across to try and get a handhold, but her arms aren't as long as Race's, but she notices them coming out, and their guns actually go away. It's apparent that they want to get this guy, but they actually don't want him to die either. So they begin to make their way out to maybe grab him or something. At this point, Race is just trying to hold on as tight as he can. If he was in more of a reasonable sense of mind, he might think, well, look, I'll just hold on long enough for these guys to come and get it. Like, kidnapped must be better than dead, surely. But his hand slips, and his hand slips, and he's able to look into the face of this man. A man he's never seen before in his life. But deep down in his eyes, he sees that he's scared. And he knows that this is it. And then their fingers part. Screams ring out from the streets as this poor man meets his end. The shady British officer types, they quickly see what's happened, they turn and they duck back into the windows. They're getting out of there as fast as they can. Race looks down and he can't shift his eyes from what he's just seen. Barney can't either. She can't believe it. They don't know how long they've been sitting there for, but it's clearly a while, because they then see these agents types coming out of the house just in a mad panic. They're going straight for their car. Their car is not too far away. It's pulled up. There's cries out the window, "What the bloody hell happened?" You know, it's just going a complete mad rush, but they're running inside. This gets Race's attention. This has been a complete muck-up, the whole situation. But Race has one last idea. He looks at the masonry, the same masonry that gave way to him the night before, the same masonry that just gave away fatally now. And he grabs a chunk of it. He manages to steady himself as best he can, and he heaves a rock down as high as he can, straight for the dark, nice government car down below. So, go with me here. He's trying to secure an advantage for something later. He's using precision to try and drop from a 3-story building down this big rock onto this car below. So that is a plus 2 to a 4, which makes it a 6, which easily beats out a 3 and a 5. So he managed this. So it turns out right. So he heaves this rock down, and his aim, my goodness, for once, is good. It comes down and it hits square on the roof of this nice shiny black car, and it leaves a thud, a big dint on the top and a big scratch in the paintwork. The rock just shatters and just covers almost the whole car in dust. as it does so. This causes more panic and more scream. They see them up there and they're all like, there's more up there, they're all falling. Everyone's in a panic. And this car just books it. It begins to make a beeline out of that street. It wants nothing to do with what's going on. Even though people are like, are you okay? But it gets out of there. And Race just screams at Barney, the plate! Get the plate! The two of them turn and try to see if they can, from this high advantage, down at the car to see if they can get its license plate. Now, I rolled a strong hit on that secure advantage, which means the very next roll we can do, we're +1 to it. So this is, I suppose, their wits. They're trying to see the license plate down in the distance as best they can. So it's a 3 plus a 4 plus she's helping. That's +5. If I don't get this, I'm going to have an aneurysm. Oh my gosh. So I think I'm being a bit of a cheat right now, but that's because I'm slightly emotional. It's a 5 to a 1. So it's 6, but fortunately it's against a 5 and a 3. So they do manage to gather information. It's a strong hit. So we get ourselves 2 momentum and we see the license plate. We're able to write it down. I'll pick a number in a sec. For the sake of simplicity, we'll just say it's license number 111. Race is pretty sure he's got the license plate in his head, so is Barney. And Race just slumps back. My God, what have we done? Race says nothing. He stares out across the city. A city that is thousands of miles away from home. Away from all his past life. Away from all the other decisions he's made in the past. And yet here he is on the other side of the planet. And he is still making choices that sees other people die. And just like that, we've got to bring this scene to an end. Oh, gee. Oh, I'm going to need to put like a motion warning at the start of this scene. What a complete failure. Information was gained. We're pretty sure now that Patrick's involved in this kidnapping ring. We told him in the morning where this guy was. That afternoon, the thugs turn up. But we did so going into it way, way underprepared. I thought it'd be fine. But instead we got this terrified, fictional character killed. But once you're in the story, you can't help but feel sad. But what we also now know is we got this black car. We know the license plate number is 1111. In addition, the whole chucking the rock down, that's like putting a recognizable mark on this car, not an easy thing to fix straight away. So we got Barney, we got the police, we should be able to sort this out. Race, he basically killed this guy. So what's Barney going to do? Do we still have the police backing? I don't know. At the end of the scene, we now know that the British contacts that Race is dealing with, oh my gosh, have probably now made that Race is not cooperating with Patrick. The police, like Barney, is probably not going to help Race anymore because they just got a guy killed. And whoever it is that if there is like some sort of like rebellion against this kidnapping ring, they're not going to help because I just got this guy killed. So I'm in New York City with this murder unsolved, blood on Race's hands, and absolutely no one he can turn to. Hope to see you next time. Well, regardless, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe if you have. Go back and watch the previous Notebook episode. We went through my Notebook went through the major clues. You can leave sort of comments there as to what your theory is as to what's happening. After tonight's episode, I have no idea if our theories are still valid or not. But anyway, thanks for watching so much, and I really do hope you tune in next time. Alright, see you later.